three short plays. First play is written by Ollie Mae Trost Welch. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I first became acquainted with Ollie's poems in an edition of Fault Zone. She has such delicate, beautiful language. And later she read the first chapter of a novel at the Writers Club, and it was such a compelling story about a woman arriving in San Francisco. It just really engaged the audience right from the start. And then I heard her read this play that she's going to present tonight, and I thought, this play has got to be presented somewhere. So here we are. There are two main parts in the play. They're going to be read in what's called on book, meaning we have the script in front of us. It's not going to be, the plays won't be produced by professional actors. We're just reading them as they're written. And we do have two readers who could be professional actors, Chris Walklin and Martin Shane Dowd, who are going to read the parts. The play is called Shaw, and I'm going to ask Ollie to briefly say a couple of words about the play.
My play is about the playwright George Bernard Shaw. He was a lifelong atheist who dies and finds himself in heaven.
Extra, read all about it. George Bernard Shaw, dead at age 94. Shaw leaves a final preface for all mankind. Extra, read all about it.
You're not looking at a caricature of George Bernard Shaw. You're looking at the real thing. You know, I've never had much faith in doctors, especially on knowing when a body's dead. I'm not about to let that doctor get the last word. Expect my elocutionist impulses to continue for some time. I happen to know I'm not ready or willing to die, though I admit the possibility of imminent death certainly gives one something more to think about. Mother always said I was a chronic procrastinator. Well, now, there comes a time in a man's life when only the impossible is interesting. As a child, I remember dreaming one night that I was dead and gone to heaven. I was in such a waiting room as this, and God was in the next room. I was supposed to await him with joy and enthusiasm, but my heart sank, for he would soon discover that I had come to heaven by mistake. I awoke before meeting God, and to this very day I claim exemption from heaven as being an atheist and socialist.
George Bernard Shaw, God here. Welcome to your new home in heaven.
Heaven? Heavens, no. I must be dreaming. Yes, indeed, I must be dreaming. And you can't be God. You're so ordinary looking.
Remember, I created man in my own image. Remember?
This is outrageous. There must be some mistake. I proclaimed since childhood that I would never be a candidate for heaven, and hasten to claim honorable exemption as atheist and socialist and vegetarian.
May I call you Shaw? I'm afraid you're stuck here. You'll just have to make the best of it, Shaw. Just think of it. Where else could you meet up with the likes of Joan of Arc and your mentors, Mozart, Michelangelo, and Moliere, with Shakespeare, Chaucer, and Dante, with Homer, Socrates, and Plato? I could go on and on. Now I ask you, Shaw, where else could you be with such rich company?
But I feel very uncomfortable here, and I'm still not convinced that you're God.
You know, Shaw, Mark Twain once said, there's no laughter in heaven. Yet today, we are blessed by a very funny man, George Bernard Shaw.
Supposing you are God, a couple of questions come to mind, if I may. What do you think of Darwin's theories?
Only an Englishman could have such a rich imagination.
What about natural disasters on Earth? You seem to have little influence over them.
As you may imagine, Shaw, I watch over endless planets, Earth is a relatively young planet, which, by the way, accounts for all its turbulence. Mother Nature will subdue her in time, and her restlessness will calm down.
You know, some on Earth called me prophet. What do you make of that?
Yes, indeed, I do call you prophet, for you practiced untiringly your gift of more than ordinary moral insight and foresight. You had a passion for improving humanity.
Does God have the power to guide the history of mankind on Earth?
I'm afraid man's fate is in his own hands. I can only hope to sway him through cosmic love, to guide him toward peace through love. Throughout the ages, man has been on the defensive. In time, he will learn there is no need to distrust his fellow man, his neighbor. The Buddhists have a wonderful saying, and it goes like this: there is no person I do not love, there is no person I do not trust, there is no person I do not forgive. A very enlightened approach to social life. Man has everything he needs to create a heaven on earth. I believe he will, in time. By the way, Shaw, here in heaven, we are all vegetarian.
I've been thinking, if you are God, I have a favor to ask. If I should live in this skin for all eternity, I don't want to do it as a frail old man of 94. You know, age 69 was an epiphany for me. I'll tell you why. That was my age in 1925, when I was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, which followed the publication of my play, Saint Joan. Age 69 would be ideal for me, not 94. For heaven's sake. No doubt I would look much the same and act much the same, but something of my youth would still be with me.
When I see you next, I wouldn't be surprised to find you a somewhat younger man, Shaw. I'm afraid I must run now.
It's me. I'm 69 again. Ah, sweet flower of youth. He really is God. He is my friend. He is my mentor. And to think I questioned his identity. Excuse me. And to think I questioned his identity from the very start.
Shaw, you won't be needing that cane ever again.
What a beautifully written play and what a beautifully performed play. Thank you. Thank you. All four of you. It's just great. We will have an interview with Ollie, the playwright, after the show. The next play is by playwright David Herzl. I first met Dave through his poetry, his book called Sea Sonnets. And then I heard that he wrote a play that was performed at the Fringe of Marin, and it took an award. And then I discovered his blog, which is just beautiful writing, no matter what he's writing about. Even his emails have beautiful writing. And so then I found out he had another play that just took an award at the Fringe of Marin. So that's the play he's going to present today. It will be read by Dave, who's really an excellent actor, and by Darlene, who's standing in front of you, who just read this a few minutes ago. So we'll see what happens. I will let Dave introduce the play to you.
Well, hello. This play takes place in an airport, and what happens, real briefly, I was in an airport and I saw two friends that had obviously, they crossed in the airport line waiting to get on off the plane, and they had obviously not seen each other for a long period of time, and I watched them, these two fellows reconnect, and I thought, what would happen if the same thing happened between two people who had been formerly lovers and who had once been very passionately in love and had parted on, after a long period of time, on very bitter terms, and they ran into each other, and what if the spark was still there? So that's the idea of the play, and I can't really do both parts myself, so therefore I shanghaied Darlene into taking the Jane part, reading the Jane part here. And when this play is staged, and we're not going to do this part of it, but the staging of it involves that the two people enter from opposite sides of the stage and they're preoccupied, and they see each other and they lock into this extremely passionate embrace that goes on for an uncomfortably long period of time, to where the people in the audience are going like, what is about to happen here? Because it has to start with that fire. It has to start on a very high point of fire, and the idea is it goes like this in 20 minutes. So we enter from off stage, and I'm reading a newspaper, and she's talking on her cell phone, and we bump into each other. Well, we find our place here. Excuse me.
Oh, no, excuse me.
Jane?
John!
Oh, my God. And at this point here, we lock into a passionate embrace. Very passionate. Woo! Some things never change.
Just like old times.
We should never have split up.
Why did we?
I don't remember now. It's been years. What, 10, 12 years? When it was like this, everything was great between us. You look great. Beautiful as ever.
You too. No wonder we were so hot together. You've sure been taking care of yourself, not like some of these bums. We should get back together.
Are you attached?
Just left him behind, the prick. He can have the apartment in Boston. I don't need it. I've got business to attend to. I've got a life to live. I don't need a lazy bastard dragging me down. What about you?
I never could find anyone I wanted to settle in with. They all wanted something out of me, something to carry them so their little hands would never have to get dirty by anything like real work. Looks like you've been doing all right for yourself. Traveling woman, just like you always wanted.
We could try it again.
Try what?
Move in together, just like before.
Just like that? Here in the middle of the country, we just bump into each other and take up like nothing ever happened?
Nothing did ever happen. You don't even remember, so what difference does it make? We just take up right away on a moment's notice, the way we did it the first time.
Just pick up where we left off.
Just like that.
I like it, but hey, I don't even know you. Now, I don't even know you now.
So? You didn't the first time, but you still went for it. What, are you slowing down?
Me? No, never. Still, I mean, where have you been all these years? What's your life been like? What do you do for a living, for heaven's sake?
Real estate. Yeah, I've done all right. I can do whatever I need to do. You?
I'm a rep for agricultural heavy equipment, wineries. People in that business, the upper end of it, they don't care how they spend their money. So I make sure a good cut of it comes to me.
There, we're done, all caught up. Let's do it. I've got a condo in Rhode Island. You've got someplace where? California? Both unattached. Your place, my place, somewhere in the middle. We've done it before. We can make it work this time. It would be easy.
And at this point, we fall into another very passionate embrace. Done. Where from here? Where are you going?
Los Angeles. My flight's in 20 minutes.
Here's my card. We'll have to keep in touch. Listen. I've got a flat in San Francisco, rent control, and a house out in Napa. We can call it home. Big yard, nice climate, right on the golf course. You're going to love it. Keep the place in Rhode Island. We can use it for the East Coast slice of life.
I suppose.
What? You have to work there, right? I mean, that's where all your clients are?
I have clients all over the place. I can sell anywhere. No more living at the bottom for me, pretending life in the poorhouse in a cabin in the redwoods has some kind of romantic allure to it. Not for me, not any longer. I want better. I could make some real money out in wine country.
There you go. I'm not home that much, but when I am, woo-hoo, this is going to be great. I really think we can do this. I really do. Everything we messed up the first time, we'll make it right now. Now we've got some money, each of us.
How much? What do you think you're worth?
What? What difference does that make? I do all right. 2 places, one in the most expensive place there is to live, a Mercedes, a vet. What more do you want? A balance sheet?
No, of course not. A girl's got to look out for herself, that's all. We didn't do so well last time. We'd have been all right if you would have looked for a better job. I knew you could do better. Look at you now, the kind of guy a gal can be proud of.
I do all right. I'm not going to ask for yours. We'll straighten it all out as we go along, just like before. What do you drive back east?
New Lexus. You have to show your clients you know how to move around money if they're going to trust your real estate, trust your taste in real estate for them. Not everyone is good at it. I am, even in this economy.
So there you go, deal? And I hold out my hand, and she ignores my hand and gives me this passionate, very sexual embrace.
Deal.
You didn't shake on it.
What, wasn't that enough?
In my business, a handshake is what seals the deal. Sex you can get anywhere. It doesn't necessarily mean a deal.
All right. We shake hands. Business is business.
Maybe if we'd been a little more business-like before, we might have stayed together. Boy, that would have been nice if we had so much going on between us. We were so alike in a lot of things, remember?
Those were the good old days. When they were good, no money didn't help.
That won't be any problem now. Everything bad behind, only the good ahead. Pick up the old dream right where we left off. I can tell you don't have kids. You would have said something right off. They all do. Still thinking about it?
A little too late for that now. I might have some regrets. I just don't think about that.
Me too.
Would not have been a good thing for you or me. We would have just been that much poorer then. You know, it's not a good thing for kids when their parents split up.
When did we split up?
I don't remember. Let's just make a pact we won't do it again.
Deal. This time we shake hands, and then we seal the deal with a kiss.
You really think we can do this? Make it work?
Sure. We're older, wiser, wealthier, still in top form physically.
Gives her a leering look. Don't do that here in public.
And nobody knows us. Besides, we already gave him a thrill. What's a little more?
Makes me feel creepy, like I'm some kind of sex object.
There you go, of that feminist BS again. You like being a sex object. When you want to, you all do. Then when it suits you, it's, don't do that, until you change your mind again.
You all do? I'm not the same as everyone else. I'm different. I'm special.
Ooh, you're special, all right. I knew that from the start. Yeah, right.
I deserve better.
Come on, baby. I take it back. We can make it work. It'll be great. I move in for a kiss, and she obliges me.
I want my own space. I always did. I don't like people telling me what to do, where to be, how to spend my money.
You got your space, I got mine. Only now we share them, 50-50.
You can pay half the condo, but I'm not putting any money into your places.
You don't need to. I own them free and clear.
You buy your own car in Rhode Island.
We'll need 2 cars. We can do this. It's going to be great.
You'll have to leave me alone. Let me be on my own whenever I need it.
You're not making this easy. If you want to be left alone, why did you even bring it up?
Bring what up?
Living together again. It was your idea.
So what if it was? You went for it. You were ready. You would have brought it up yourself if I hadn't.
You think you know me?
I ought to. Some things never change. 13 years. Isn't that enough time to know somebody?
By the end of it, you didn't know me at all. You only thought you did. It was always so important to you to think you knew everything.
What do you mean?
You wanted everything your way. I gave you everything I had, and it wasn't enough.
Boy, you're sure right about that.
Is that what you meant when you said before we'd have been all right if you'd looked for a better job? I mean, you could have done something for yourself. I knew you could do better. It wasn't good enough then? Look at you now. Money, was that all you ever wanted? The kind of guy a gal can be proud of. Guess you weren't proud of me then, were you?
Of course I was, but you could have done better.
So now I have, so that's good enough for you. Let's move in together, pick up where we left off, but only if it's your way. Some things never change. Some deal.
Maybe this isn't such a good idea.
Maybe it's not. You tell the airplane for Los Angeles is getting ready to leave right now.
There's my plane. Gotta go. Here's my card. Let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk sometime. Maybe we can make this work again.
Sure. See ya.
See ya.
Roles here. That was fun. That was great, Dave. It was great play. Heard some laughter in the audience. Wonderful. Okay, the next play is by playwright Teresa Leung Ryan. Teresa is a novelist and book coach, a workshop leader. Her very successful first book was called Love Made of Heart. It was her first novel. She's also the author of a book called Build Your Writer's Platform and Fan Base in 22 Days. Attract agents, editors, publishers, readers, and media attention now. And Teresa is known for her enthusiastic support of writers, and she is an expert at marketing and promotion. I think this is her first play. It's called Answer Me Now. It's won an award. I'll ask Teresa to come up here and tell you a little bit about the play, and then she's going to read it, perform it.
Hi, California Writers Club buddies. What happened was Redwood Writers, the CWC branch up in Santa Rosa, Linda Loveland Reed had sponsored her 3rd annual playwriting contest. And this year the plays have to be 10 minutes long, and I thought, I've had something in my mind and heart for a long time. I'm going to do this. So I'm one of the 9 winners, and we're really proud because the plays will be produced at the 6th Street Playhouse in Santa Rosa, and performance dates are June 29, June 30th, and July 1st, and I'll have flyers. So this is a monologue. Lenny Dean is going to be the director, and Stacy Marie Kier is going to be the actress. So I think you'll figure out what's happening without the props. Mama, I'm going to ask you a question, and you must answer me now. That year, when I thought I was going mad, were you haunting me? That year, when my thoughts were my worst enemy, I began to look exactly like you. The way you looked when your mind got sick. You were trying to possess me, weren't you? I fought and fought your pull. I won. I know you suffered all your life. You never talked about it much. I put the pieces together. China, you were placed in an orphanage. 7 years you were there. Relatives found you after the war. You were 14. They took you to Hong Kong. You had flowered into a beauty. Years passed. You became a teacher to little children. You said you adored them all. Then a girlfriend introduces you to her brother, and you fall in love with Baba, another kind of orphan. My beautiful and sad mother. I was your firstborn, then little brother came, then baby sister. I remember our 1-room apartment. I had the upper bunk. Did your mind start to get sick before we left Hong Kong? Or was it after we came here? You and Baba uprooted your lives so that we could get a better education here. He had work and friends. You had neither. You were forced to be a foreigner without the language of your new country. I watched how people treated you when you took us to the dentist, at department stores, at the laundromat. They didn't know you were a teacher. Even I had forgotten about who you were. At home, I couldn't stand your nagging at Baba, and he wasn't even home that much. I thought you were bored and controlling. I yelled, "Get a job!" You screamed at him, "Don't you want to be with your family?" I screamed too. "Can't you see he doesn't want to be here?" And so I blasted my radio. "Shut up, why don't you?" He and his fist responded to your screaming. All those years, why didn't you strike back? Movie stars and rich people have nervous breakdowns. Regular folks let themselves get crazy. That's what Father's relatives said about you. I hated them. Then I became a woman on my own. One day, you came to visit me. Without any discussion, you moved in. You finally left your home of violence. I was proud of you. I didn't know it at the time. Instead of exploding, you were imploding. You stopped eating. Sis and I sought advice from physicians, psychologists, and clergy. You locked your bedroom door. You wouldn't come out. You screamed, "Tell those evil people in the backyard to go away." But there was no backyard. We called the police. You were taken away. Involuntary hospitalization. Lockdown facilities. No more evil people saying nasty things in your head. You were eating. You were yourself again. But medication made you sick. It took doctors 10 years to get it right. Just when you got into the groove, your own apartment with big windows, you were so proud. Then one day, instead of meeting to eat noodle soup at your favorite restaurant, we're sitting in the doctor's office. She's reading from a report, not looking at you. She's saying, "Your mother has stage 4 metastasized breast cancer." That bad dream turns blurry. You're in the hospital bed, or you're at radiation. Two weeks go by. Another oncologist. Another announcement. The cancer is also in your mom's kidney and liver. I'm sorry, folks. You were supposed to enjoy your home, your walks to Fisherman's Wharf, your lunch dates with me. Why did you? How could you have known that I needed you most the year after you died when At first, I was tickled that my menopause came early, but I didn't feel well. I would set the alarm clock for 7:40, giving myself 13 minutes to wash my face, brush my teeth, comb my hair, and get dressed. No one knew, not my husband, certainly not coworkers. 7-minute drive, and I got to work by 8. I was so tired, but no one knew. Why did you want to possess a worn-out body like mine? It was like you moved in again without asking me. I couldn't control my sadness. At home, I would go into my office and cover my mouth to muffle my cries. Even my dreams were muffled. I was the bulky teenager again, you the sad mother. We're usually in our first apartment in San Francisco. You were beautiful to look at, but not when darkness descended on you. Last week, I had a different kind of dream. I'm still confused about the images. In the dream, I'm in Greece. It looks like Greece. Ruins, ancient columns. Am I on some kind of a tour? I'm lost. I'm alone. Which way should I start walking? Then I see a figure in a white, long, flowing gown. She's walking towards me. At first I'm afraid, but the way she moves, her lively gait, disarms me. She's coming closer and closer. It's you! Mama, it's you! You're smiling at me. You're saying, I found it. You're saying, I found it for you. I woke up from that dream not understanding its meaning. If my friend were here, my friend who interprets dreams, if she were here, she would be asking me, what did you feel when you woke up from that dream? What did I feel? I felt light. For the first time in years, I felt joy. When did you start your menopause? Oh, Mama, when you moved in with me? Mama, how have you been? You look happy in my dream. I hope you are. You deserve to be happy. Do you know that teachers and students in colleges are reading about you? My novel about a mother and daughter not knowing how to speak to each other. I changed our names, but I modeled the mother character after you. The students say that our story encourages them to speak openly about the stigmas, all kinds of stigmas. Mama, please take care of yourself. And you don't have to answer me now, but could you think it over? Could you watch over me? The next time you see me confused, can you send me a sign and remind me what I felt that morning after dreaming about you in the ruins? Remind me that I can find my own answers. Mama, I love you.
It was absolutely exquisite. Thank you so much, Teresa. We're going to move directly into interviewing the authors right now here on stage, so we need a minute to just move a couple of chairs up here and switch the mics, so just take a breather and we'll be...
One thing.
Hello, this is an interview with Ollie Mae Trost Welch, the author of Shaw, the play we just saw. I'm going to ask Ollie a few questions, and the first question I have is, I think, the most important. Ollie, what makes you think God is a vegetarian?
Well, I can't imagine him being cruel to animals. And there are very few animals in heaven. They're few and far between.
Good, thank you. I wanted to know that answer. Why did you write about George Bernard Shaw? What is your interest in him?
Well, I was in Chapel Hill at the University Library doing some research on Joan of Arc, and I discovered his play, St. Joan. And then I became interested in Shaw. Then I discovered his official biography by Archibald Henderson, and I found out in reading the preface to that biography that Henderson was presently teaching physics right there in Chapel Hill. And so we were there in the same town at the same time together. And it was reading this biography that I got the idea for the play.
Great, thanks. Is this your first play?
The first play I wrote about Shaw is 11 scenes and 12 characters. And it's very elaborate settings. And that was the first play I wrote after being inspired by this biography. And then David Herzl said to me, why don't you take one of those scenes and make a one-act play out of it? So that's what I did. So I've written 2 plays now.
So the long play and then the short play, which we saw tonight, which is an excerpt from the longer play.
Yes.
Do you have what's in the longer play? I mean, what's that about?
Well, there are many characters, and it's kind of hard to explain.
Summarize.
They are mentors. He meets up with Mozart, Michelangelo, and Moliere, and they have conversations. He meets up with Joan of Arc, Mark Twain, Dante, and Androcles and the lion. It's a fake lion, of course. And Joan of Arc has a real lamb on stage. And those are about the only animals in heaven. And Cleopatra and Caesar also are in the play.
That sounds fascinating. I mean, it sounds like you could have pulled any excerpt out of this play, and we would be entertained by it. Well, I hope the longer play gets produced somewhere. Do you have any prospects?
Well, there's a company in Canada that just puts on Shaw's plays. Nothing but Shaw's plays. I sent it to them, and I heard a year later that they couldn't use it. And I sent it to the Berkeley Repertory Theater, and I heard from them a year later. And they said, we apologize for the delay, but we enjoyed reading your play. It's palpable, and it's written with great passion, but we will be unable to use it this coming season. So that was somewhat encouraging.
That is encouraging. There's a possibility there.
Yeah.
Finding it. What do you like about writing a play compared to other forms? Because you write fiction, you write poetry, you write nonfiction, you've written a memoir.
My editor says that my talent is in poetry and playwriting and not in fiction. I find that dialogue comes very easily to me, and that ideas for poems come easily to me. And fiction, I don't know how to keep them turning the pages.
Well, we were turning the pages of the play, so you do have an ear for dialogue. That's certainly true. What advice would you give to writers who want to learn how to write a play?
Well, just fortunate enough to come across an idea. I think it's not easy. I do not have an idea for another play myself, so I don't think I can give advice on that.
We got some feedback here, sorry. Oh, Thank you. Let me stop it. You have a very long and unusual name. Every time I see it, I wonder, Ollie Mae Trust Welch. I think there's probably a story related to each part of your name. Is there a story there?
Yes, I think so. Ollie is my real name. It's not short for anything. Mae was my mother's middle name, and I use it so that my readers will know that I'm a female, because Ollie is usually short for Oliver. I get mail to Mr. Ollie Welch. And Trost is my maiden name, which I started using following my divorce. And Welch, my 3 sons have the name Welch, my married name, so I kept that too.
Great. I keep wanting to add another name in and give you 5. I think of it as Ollie Mae Trost Shakespeare Welch.
Thank you. I'll take that.
It comes to me. Yeah. Well, we just have a couple more minutes here. You have a degree in creative writing. What's the most important thing you learned in your creative writing program?
To try and dig deeper and to be to write honestly about what you know. We were taught to foreshadow our endings, and that one picture is worth 1,000 words. My creative writing teacher that made a big difference to me was George Price, and I cried in his class one day because he criticized my work in front of the whole class very harshly. But it caused me to dig deeper, and at the end of the semester, he embraced my short story by reading it aloud to the entire class and closed the semester that way.
Wow, what a wonderful story and what a wonderful way to close the interview. Thank you so much for sharing your play with us and sharing these stories now. Really appreciate it. Ollie Mae Trost Welch. Thank you. Welcome, Dave. David Herzl, the author of A Chance Encounter. And Dave, how did this play come about? Why did you write this play?
I just wanted to write a play. I was going on a vacation, and all my vacations I make some part of a writing retreat. And leaving home, I said, I want to come home with something that was written. And I described briefly earlier, I saw these 2 fellas, and I thought, I could write a play about that. I'll just sit down and I have a 2 or 3 hour block of time where I could sit down and do this and write uninterrupted, and I sat down and I wrote it. But mostly anything that I write, especially like a play, is to see, is it possible? Can you do this? Plays are such exciting, dynamic things, that everything takes place in the dialogue. Can I do that? Do I have that talent? It's not an easy talent, so I just go well, can I do it? And I look at it when it's done, and either I did it or it fell short.
So it sounds like your process is quite simple and smooth. It sounds like you don't do a lot of rewriting. Is that true?
It depends. My book isn't it went through 9.5 drafts, and it could go through more. So, but in the case of something that's short, in particular the couple of plays that I've written, I say, okay, I want to write a play. This is what I want it to be about, and I'll think about it essentially and kind of form it in my head over 2 or 3 days. So when I sit down to actually write, it's fairly well formed. And I've written, half a dozen plays and in the same kind of manner, and not all of them are successful. A lot of them okay, did that, and then there it sits in the binder.
Mm-hmm, okay. The characters in this play, how how do you know these characters?
A portion of this play, not the event that goes on in the play, but I know the characters very well. I'm one of them, and a long-term girlfriend that I had that was very passionately in love with, and at the end of 13 years, I hated her with just as much vehemence, to where it was dangerous. And so, and I just wanted to see, can you do that? Can you describe something like that and have it happen in 20 minutes? Can you compress things? So I just do it to see if I can do it.
So this is a work of nonfiction, essentially, except for the scene. I'll take that.
But yeah, I mean, the play is fictional, but the characters in it are they're people I know.
You've written poetry, short stories, fiction, nonfiction. What do you like about writing a play compared to other forms?
I like that. I would only venture to do a short play. I can't really fathom doing a long play. I have great respect for playwrights. So for me, it's like it is something. Okay, I'll do it, and then I'll be done with it, and then I'll hand it to someone else, and I'll watch them do all the work and bring it to life. And that worked quite successfully with Chance Encounter. That Teresa actually, she saw the opening night of that, and I was like, all I did was I gave them the script, and I didn't go to any rehearsals. I didn't know anything at all until I sat down in there and I saw it. Okay, that's the way I want to do it. I'm the writer. I'm not the director, the producer, the thinker, the caster. I'm only the writer.
So what advice would you give to writers who want to write a play?
Pick up your pen and write. You have to, a lot of people think about writing, you have to actually do it, you have to actually sit down to the keyboard. But one thing that I found when I started writing plays, I started going to plays. And I really, really like very small theaters like the Fringe in Marin, or plays that happen in a space that's as big as this space here or half the size of this. Because they're very, very intimate. And here's the thing, you want to write a play, read good playwrights, read Chekhov, read Shakespeare if you like Shakespeare. Chekhov I happen to like. Go see plays, and go see plays before you read them. So you have to read a lot because you have to really understand how it works. And when you see a play first that you've never read, and then go home that night, the next day, while it's very fresh in your mind, your impressions of that play, read the play that the playwright wrote, and it is such a revelation. So that's really what I would say.
Great. I hope the would-be playwrights in the audience are all taking notes. Thank you. I'm sorry we have to have such a short interview here, but I appreciate all you've offered and your entertaining play. Thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight.
You're welcome. And I did want to say thanks to Darlene for stepping in to take on to read that part and doing it with such flair.
Thank you. Teresa. Okay, Teresa Leung Ryan, the author of Answer Me Now, the play we just saw her perform. Teresa, what made you decide to write a play? Oh, the microphone.
I read Greek tragedies in college, and I love Neil Simon plays. Lost in Yonkers, about the two brothers, Brighton Beach memoir. I also like Crossing the Land Sea. So, and then I have friends who are playwrights. And I was telling my CWC pals that in January, when I was presenting at the Redwood Branch, teaching writers how to build their platforms, I heard about a 10-minute playwriting contest. And I thought, ooh, I had this dream, this remarkable dream, and I think I could turn it into a 10-minute play.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like that. And you won an award.
Along with 8 colleagues, yes. I'm one of the lucky 9.
It's very exciting. What do you like about writing a play compared to the other forms of writing you've done, both fiction and nonfiction?
Mm-hmm. The fact that it's collaboration, you're the playwright, your job is done. So in the play I had stage directions, but when the director Lenny Dean called me, she said, Teresa, I'm going to be changing the stage directions. Right. So I don't even know what they are at this point. And also, I'm Chinese heritage. The actress is Jewish. So they changed a few words to make it more personal for Stacy here.
And how do you feel about having your play changed like that?
When Lenny first asked me that, she said, think it over. Of course, that uh-oh feeling, right? It's like, oh no, my words are going to be changed. And I thought, you know what? From now on, I could change those few words to China, the Hong Kong, right? And make it fit the actress on stage. Plus, I bought 2 new domain names because I want to be the producer of a new series. TalkingToMyDeadMom.com and TalkingToOurDeadMoms.com. So next year I'll be accepting submissions.
So you are writing more plays?
Yes, and they're all about talking to my mom.
Wow, I'm sure you'll get some hits on that URL. Right? What advice would you give to writers who want to learn how to write a play?
Like what David and Ollie said, is really just read plays, go see plays, and then just start writing.
When did you begin to write, and how did you learn to write?
I took a 10-week course on writing for children. And then from that class, 3 other classmates and I formed a critique group. And then a year later, I wasn't going anywhere with the children's stories, but I read Maxine Hong Kingston's memoir, The Woman Warrior. And that weekend, her story changed my life. I wanted to write about modern, courageous women, unbeknownst to themselves.
It did change your life because look what you've done and where you are. That's very exciting.
It's so much fun, right, writers? All writers.
Yes, well, I was going to ask you who influenced your writing, and obviously that's the person.
Yeah.
What are your writing habits?
I write every day. If I'm not writing for a project, then I'm blogging. I love to blog. So writingcoachteresa.com. Click on Teresa's blog.
Yes. Okay, well, we are out of time. I thank you so much for presenting your very moving play and talking with us today.
Yeah,
really
darling,
appreciated it.
You made it really fun for us. And Barty, thank you, Barty.
Yes, thanks to Barty for starting this whole thing. We're supposed to announce what happens next, right? I don't have the program. Lisa, you're next. Oh, Dave Herzl is next. Tom Crean, the Antarctic, never get them, remember which is which, adventurer.
Stay up there, keep talking. Then you can reach the side.
We need a break. Need the podium back, Dave. Oh, turn it off. How do I turn this off?